And political affairs analyst Habeeb Salawu joins me on the news from St. Louis, Missouri via Skype to look into this. Good to have you join us. 400 shootings, 400 people being documented to have been shot within the space of 72 hours in the U.S. But at the end of the day, this is really not surprising to a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, you're correct. You know, with the U.S., with its gun laws, every time there is news about mass shooting, gun violence, we mostly just treat it like regular news because people are, you know, interestingly becoming, you know, used to that kind of news because basically almost every day you have, you know, one shooting or the other. I mean, we've had over 260 shootings across the U.S. with about 94 people killed and 236 injured. So it's become, like an activist said, it's the forgotten pandemic, and it's not given the much desired attention it should get.
Absolutely. Most of these shootings really go unreported. But I want to bring you a survey by a Swiss-based small arms. We say that there are 393 million firearms in private hands in the U.S., 120 guns for every 100 people. And after the Sandy Hook shooting, one wonders why this scourge is not a priority. So,
I mean, I started to look at some of the reasons that may, you know, be behind this, you know, obsession with firearms in the U.S. I mean, looking at the history of this country, there is this background fear of, you know, being overtaken. And so people, you know, always want to exercise that right to bear arms. And in many cases, it's the obsession is excessive. So you go into places where you find some people owning about 10, 15 firearms. The question is, if it's about self-defense, then why do you have that, you know, that as much as you do? But you see, the thing about guns in America is it's been politicized. So every time, and it's mostly the Democrats who try to, you know, tighten the gun laws in the United States. But whenever this comes up, it's the other side makes it look like that the Americans are about to lose their right to own arms. And that gives it a different coloration. It does not allow the conversation on gun violence to be broad enough to deal with all the issues, particularly access to guns, you know, background checks and all those things that can help, you know, control to an extent the people who have access to guns. There's almost little or no hindrance into getting guns in the United States of America.
Absolutely.
I mean, recently
I just have about a minute left. I want to quickly ask you about this because you're talking about the fact that the Biden administration is pushing for some form of regulation and background checks. But you know, you also mentioned the Second Amendment hardliners who say, look, do not take away my Second Amendment. And so, how tough is this for the Biden administration in the face of these hardliners?
So you see, for you know, measurable progress to be achieved, it has to be looked beyond all divides. So we must have the Democrats and Republicans coming in to address, you know, the elephant in the room, address the main issue, which is, you know, having guns in the wrong hands. I mean, recently, Texas and Florida, they said you don't even require any form of training or license to hold a handgun. So if you have states who are passing out legislation like that, how then do you deal with the nation at large? So there are subset challenges and then there are national challenges. But I mean, like I said, anything that has to do with gun controls or tightening the laws around, you know, access to guns, the hardliners always come out saying, no, you cannot deny me that right to own and bear arms. And so I feel for us to achieve, for that to be, you know, to have a proper or tight gun laws in the country, both parties have to, you know, have one voice.
We'll hope for quick resolution of this. I mean, more people are dying every single day. Political affairs analyst Habeeb Salawu, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.